Right now on Denver 7 News at 6, food trucks are back in LoDo after a David and Goliath fight with Denver over safety.
We're making food. That's all we do, you know.
I'm Veronica Acosta. This is where food trucks will be able to park again starting this weekend, but not all businesses are making the cut.
In just a few hours, we'll see the warrant affidavit used to search former President Trump's Florida home.
I'm Jessica Crawford. Why Trump's supporters and critics likely won't see what they were expecting. I'm breaking down the next steps in the case.
Get excited, skiers and snowboarders, why this season could bring even better snow to the mountains.
Our troops are getting a taste of the gridiron life. We're hitting the field with members of the military training like a Bronco for the day.
Oh.
Yeah, look it out. Yeah. Look outside. We got a Bronco sunrise, sort of. You got the blue and the orange. That's all we need, right? Happy Friday to you.
Yes, welcome to Denver 7 News at 6. Of course, the final Broncos preseason game Saturday. So as we head into the weekend, Jason has a look at traffic, and Lisa is getting us ready with our forecast today. Looking pretty nice to start.
Yeah, and if you're keeping track, I've only worn this dress about a dozen times in the last month.
Oh,
or
you
so,
have to
right?
consider
17 more games, yeah.
Orange is on repeat. Take a look. We have a beautiful start to our day. Yeah, a little bit of cloud cover out there early this morning, mid to upper 60s downtown and out at the airport. Things are pretty calm right now. We're going to see another round of storms and showers here today. Early on, low to mid 60s as you're taking the dog out for a walk here by about 7 o'clock. We'll hit highs in the mid 80s and then drop back down to near 80 degrees by about 5 o'clock with a chance for a few more scattered storms and showers. Tomorrow, though, things are going to heat back up. And speaking of tomorrow and the game, I'm going to have your full game day forecast on our Super 7 Day coming up. Or if you're heading up to the mountains this weekend, Jason, we'll take a look at that forecast, too.
Now we're flying with Air Tracker 7 coming right off the pad and off the airport, Rocky Mountain Metro Airport. Looking at the bottom of the aircraft right there is the light, and there's the airport right there. As we're just starting off the day, you see a gorgeous sunrise shaping up for us here this morning. So we'll get some more details from what they see from their perspective in just a minute. What they're going to be doing is heading to two different locations. They should be heading over here to 96th and Tower Road. We do have a crash over there. It is a little bit heavy in there. I'm not suggesting an alternate route yet. It's just a little bit too tough to get through there. A couple extra minutes, but this is definitely one spot they're going to go to. I talked to Aurora Water this morning, and they say the water main is repaired, but we still have the westbound lanes closed down of Alameda, Potomac all the way over to Peoria, as they still have to do the final paving. So 6th Avenue or 2nd Avenue gets you around it. Also Mississippi gets you around it as well. Well, it is a big weekend for Denver's downtown crowd. Food trucks are finally back weeks after they were kicked out following that police shooting that really had nothing to do with them. But Denver 7's Veronica Acosta is where those trucks will return this weekend, which is a big victory for these small businesses that depend on the foot traffic.
That's exactly it. And a win is a win in this scenario, right? Some of these spots here behind me, these meters, they've actually sat empty for about a month now since these food trucks were kicked out of the LoDo area by the city of Denver. These are small businesses that we're talking about, businesses that really rely on that foot traffic, like you mentioned, and bars like the one here behind me, you know, they tend to let out a lot of people in those early morning hours. Those people tend to get hungry. They flock to those food trucks. Starting tonight, those food trucks, they're going to be parking out here again. They're going to get that chance all over. That's because Denver is lifting its ban on food trucks here. It does come with some strings attached, though. Between now, so about 5 in the morning an hour ago, and 9 tonight, taco, pizza food trucks, they can come out, they can start selling again. There's really no problem there. It's after 9 p.m. that those rules start getting a little restrictive. The city's giving 7 food trucks a license to operate between 9 and midnight on Friday and Saturdays. This new rule means that when these bars are let out at 2 in the morning, there won't be any food trucks here for them to go ahead and buy food from. Last week, we spoke with the food truck owner who'd been set up in this area for about a decade. He told us he was really optimistic about the lifting of the ban, but he said the damage, it had already been done.
It's like 80% what we do. Bills, we pay rent, we pay everything. You know, sometimes you have like 1 or 2 employees, you pay them. So, you know, it's like I'm working for free.
So if these food truck owners don't follow the rules, they could get a citation. They could even get a sanction on their license. And again, it's important to let you all know that only 7 food trucks will get these licenses. They're going to have the ability to set up in 2 spots in the LoDo area. One is where we are this morning on 20th and Market. The other is going to be over on 19th and Blake. We're in Denver this morning. I'm Veronica Acosta. Denver 7.
All right, thanks, Veronica. Jeffco's school district is looking to close 16 elementary schools. It would impact nearly 2,500 students and more than 400 full-time staff. Here's the list of schools released last night. These are all expected to close, and as you can see, they're spread out across the large district. Jeffco says it has lost more than 5,000 students between 2019 and this year, and that means a lack of resources and special programs for those small schools, limiting student growth. The school board will vote on these recommended closures on November 10th. The schools that do make the final cut will stay open for the rest of this school year, and then those closures take effect next year. The district will not be naming preschool sites for closure until later in November, before the choice window opens on December 6th. Meanwhile, DPS teachers have just a few days till their contract expires. After wrapping up talks this week, both sides of the teachers union and the district will be back at the table next Wednesday morning starting at 9 a.m. and officials say they'll go until they reach an agreement. Teachers are asking for a starting salary of $55,000 a year, cost of living increases, a stipend for serving on school communities, or school committees that is, and extra duty compensation.
Well, the state's Department of Human Services Committee is looking into potential fraud and child safety concerns over allegations made against a former Arapahoe County DHS employee. Robin Nisita is the ex-partner of former Aurora Police Chief Vanessa Wilson. She was already charged with falsely reporting Aurora City Council member Danielle Jurinsky sexually abused her own son. Jurinsky then filed a lawsuit against Nisita and the entire Arapahoe County DHS office. A spokesperson for Arapahoe County says they're confident in their ability to protect kids from abuse and neglect. They also say the allegations filed in the complaint draw conclusions without citing factual specifics. The number 2 to Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters has agreed to testify against her former boss. In a deal with prosecutors, Deputy Clerk Belinda Nisley pleaded guilty to several charges, including official misconduct. She will serve 2 years probation and perform 150 hours of community service. In exchange, she'll cooperate with investigators. Nisley and Peters were both indicted this year on charges of tampering with their county's election equipment. Peters is facing 11 criminal charges and barred from contacting employees at her office.
Department of Justice lawyers are on a deadline today. They have till 10 a.m. our time to release a redacted version of the affidavit used to search Mar-a-Lago. Attorney and Denver 7 reporter Jessica Crawford joins us now to break down the next steps. And Jessica, the DOJ is saying they're trying to balance transparency with protecting a critical investigation here.
Yeah, so many questions here, not quite knowing if we're going to have all the answers we seek by the end of the day. People familiar with the investigation are saying the search was part of a probe into possible mishandling of White House records, even documents related to nuclear weapons, which Trump denies. We could get a lot more clarity by 10 o'clock when that affidavit has to come out. And here's why people have been so anxious to see what it says. A search warrant is only issued after an affidavit is presented. The affidavit describes the place, the person, or the thing to be searched. It describes the property that's being searched for. It also establishes the reasons why the warrant should be issued. All critical questions still 3 weeks after that raid in Mar-a-Lago. However, the Justice Department requested several redactions to protect the investigation and the people involved in it. So while we could learn a lot from the affidavit, chances are we won't.
It's an effort to strike a balance by the magistrate between, on one hand, the government's desire to keep its investigation intact and public's interest in knowing what this is all about. If all of that evidence is disclosed to the public, then the Department of Justice is very concerned that the investigation will be impeded.
And there have been concerns about this being political. Well, this week, President Biden addressed the search of Trump's home publicly for the first time, saying that he had no advance knowledge about it. Yeah. I'm Jessica Crawford, Denver 7.
Well, you know, summer is winding down. Some of us are sad about that, but some of us are pretty excited for winter here.
Yeah, just jump right to the next season here. Great news. If you plan to hit the slopes this winter, meteorologists are more confident we could see above average snowfall. For the winter, there is a robust La Nina phenomenon, relatively cool surface temperatures in parts of the Pacific Ocean, which usually means good snow for us here in Colorado and the Northern Rockies. And they're the coolest temperatures they've seen since 2010. So good news for our ski resorts. We just need that snow to fall in the right place.
That's the tricky part, Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, we will. It doesn't mean typically that we would see heavy snow across the entire state or for all of the mountains. Take a look. Yeah, when we see some of those cooler than average temperatures there in the equatorial Pacific, then we typically tend to see some heavier snow. In the northern and central mountains. That's where we see most of it. But then again, you get across parts of southwestern Colorado and that snow won't be as heavy. So we'll see how things play out here. But yeah, it does look like that pattern's going to continue into winter. Now, as you're trying to get your La Niñas out the door this morning, see what I did there? We'll be in the 60s here at the bus stop early on with a little bit of cloud cover. And then, Jason, some low to mid 80s by the time your kids get home. More scattered storms and showers possible here today. It does dry out this weekend, and we'll take a closer look at that coming up.
And right now we have a new crash up to the north. It's going to be along the southbound side of I-25 between Berthoud and Meade. I'm already seeing a 30-minute delay on that southbound side of I-25. From the camera up there, you can see the flashing lights on that crash that's way over to the side. So one lane is blocked and one lane is open. And there it is, southbound I-25 with that crash between Meade and Berthoud. Pretty big delays, unfortunately, heading down here towards Longmont and Denver.
Well, a popular part of downtown Golden is getting a new look. The makeover, sponsored by the Coors family.
The last few months have been all about Russell Wilson and the Broncos getting to know each other. But yesterday they took a back seat to honor our local service members with a combine. I'll bring you there next.